Hello my loves, how are you guys today? My name's Anna. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing good at whatever time you are watching this. Today we are going to be talking about a true crime story while I do my makeup. I'm not going to do anything too crazy today, but yeah, so like I said, we're going to be talking about true crime, so I just want to give you a little trigger warning that we will be talking about crime scenes and sexual assault, adult dialogue, and description of crime scene. I'm not going to go too hardcore into it, but you know, I am going to give you the scoop on what happened. So today we are talking about Richard Speck and another Richard, y'all. Like, get it together, Richards. I had an ex whose name was Richard, and he was a Richard, all right. But you know, no, I'm not gonna say all Richards are that way. I can't say that just because that one. You know. Anyways, so like I said, Richard Franklin Speck. He was born December 6, 1941, and he was born in Kirkwood, Illinois. He was actually number 7 of 8 children, and he was born to a very, very religious family. His father's name was Benjamin Speck, and his mother's name was Mary Speck. She actually has like 5 names, but that's a mouthful, and they're all like Mary, Margaret, blah, 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 blah. They're all kind of like M's. But anyways, so like I said, he was born in Kirkwood, Illinois, but later on, like in the 40s, they moved to Monmouth, Illinois. And Mary, like I said, she was very, very religious. She did not believe in drinking and alcohol and normal schooling. So, you know, you can kind of imagine what type of environment that was. Little old Richard was very, very close to his dad, and they would often, you know, his dad liked to fish a lot, so him and his dad would often go on little fishing trips together. So that was something that was really, really special to Richard, and he cherished that a lot. Sadly, when Richard was just 6 years old, his dad ended up passing away from a heart attack, and his dad was 53 years old. This affected Richard, I mean, obviously a lot because it was his father, but it affected him deeply. His dad was his everything, because his mom was she wasn't abusive, but she was kind of, just strict, and his dad was his best friend, basically. And, like I said, they were very, very close with each other. So, this had a lasting effect on Richard, and things started to go downhill for him in his life. Things got a lot worse whenever his mother remarried in 1950 to Carl Lindbergh. And, I'll just mention that his mom was against alcohol and against smoking and stuff like that. But Mr. Carl here was an alcoholic and was very verbally and mentally abusive towards Richard. And it wasn't a good time. He could not stand his stepdad at all. Whenever she married Carl, they ended up moving the family to Dallas, Texas, and they moved around a lot in between kind of rough neighborhoods around that area at the time. And, that was just kind of the childhood that he had. It wasn't a very good one at all. He just, like I said, his stepdad was very abusive towards him mentally and emotionally, and that can have a very, very lasting effect on a child. I mean, a very lasting one. So, little old Richard, probably around 12, 13 years old around that time, he started to get into trouble And I don't mean just, you know, little old trouble like talking back. No, he had taught himself how to break into windows with a switchblade. At 12 years old, all on his own. And he had a lot of run-ins with the law. And every single time, his mom would be there with the lawyer and some money to get him out of whatever her sweet little son had gotten himself into. And I believe this made Richard develop a sense of I can get away with anything mentality. So, you know, it's already not off to a good start, baby. And we ain't even to the bad part yet. So, anyways, when Richard was 16 years old, he did end up dropping out of high school. And in the 60s, he got a job at the 7-Up bottling company. And he worked there for a little while. Richard is going to be one of those drifters, basically. He's going to bounce around from job to job. And he doesn't really keep them a lot. Sometimes it's not his fault and sometimes it is. But, you know, he was just one of those. And around that same time, he ended up meeting a 15-year-old, you know, at the time he was in his 20s when this happened. So, you know, but he met a 15-year-old by the name of Shirley Malone. And he sadly was very abusive towards her as well. He would hold her at knife point and sexually assault her. They did end up getting married, and 3 months into, or not 3 months, my bad y'all, 3 weeks into their relationship, she ended up getting pregnant. And I can only imagine probably how devastating that was for her. Because here she is, 15 years old, being abused by the man that's supposed to love her. And, you know, I'm going to rant, sidetrack for a second. I have a soft spot for stuff like this because I was in a not so healthy relationship at all. So, I understand why she stayed, more than likely. So, you know, we're not going to judge people. So, anyways, just want to put that out there. Don't victim blame and don't judge people because they don't leave a situation. So, anyways, like I said, Richard was in a lot of trouble all the time. I mean, he racked up a pretty hefty arrest record. And he eventually would get arrested a total of 42 times, y'all. 42 times. And the little old bastard would get away every single time. And that's so shitty. Anyways, so Richard was in and out of jail, and at the time he had gotten into a bar fight with a local member of a bar that he frequented. Anyways, that he went to all the time. He had gotten into a fight with someone there and actually stabbed the dude and was arrested. But guess what? Mommy was there to help him. And of course, okay, sorry, I want to pause for a second. If you guys can hear the rain, I'm so sorry. I'm hoping it won't frustrate you and it'll add more of an aesthetic to this, but, you know, whatever. So, like I said, his mom was there and got him a lawyer, and it got reduced, excuse me, it got reduced to an aggravated assault charge, and he was fined $10, and that was it. But, of course, he did not pay the $10, and eventually Shirley got tired of his actions. And let me tell you what Richard would take it upon himself to do to her. So, Richard, for some reason, was very paranoid at the fact that he thought Shirley was cheating on him. And instead of confronting her about it and having an adult conversation and solving the issue, no. He would go and hire local prostitutes in the area, go to the house that he shared with his wife and his daughter, go to the house and would park in the driveway and fondle the prostitutes in front of his wife. And she could see everything from, you know, the window or the door or wherever she was in the house. And he did it to get to her, and then he would just speed off and just dip. So eventually homegirl got tired of his shenanigans, and she divorced that booty in January 1966. She'd actually, you know, reported him for his abuse, but nothing was really done about it, honestly. He did end up getting into another fight, of course, and this time he got away with it again, like always. And I was just like, goodness gracious. So anyways, he got a job as a salesman and decided to, because, you know, he can't make an honest living and do things for himself, he's got to take from others. He stole a $44 check of one of his employees. $44 now. And got arrested for it. And he, you know, just had like, basically it was more than one charge because he had other things against him. But he did end up getting sentenced for 3 years. But, of course, because he's him and he gets away with everything, he only ended up serving 16 months and then was released. He wanted to reconnect, kind of, with his family. Because, like I said, you know, he has a lot of brothers and sisters. So, he had people all over the place that he could go to if he needed to. So, he went back to his family home and his childhood town, which was in Manmouth, sorry y'all, Illinois. And he ended up connecting with one of his brothers and his family and stayed with them for a little while and ended up getting a job as a carpenter as well. So at this time, you know, he's doing better for himself. He's back in his hometown. But, you know, happiness isn't going to last long. Good things aren't going to last long for little Richard here. And he finds out that his wife, or ex-wife, 2 days after... Sorry, y'all, I'm going out of frame. I have to pick up a brush. 2 days after they got divorced, she was literally remarried. 2 days. So you can imagine the headspace that this man is probably in right now. And... baby, it does not sound like a healthy one at all whatsoever. Oh, that brush is too wet. Ah, no. Yeah, I got way too much setting spray on my brush. Anyways, so, like I said, it affected him a lot. And Richard just, he fell down the rabbit hole after that. So, shortly after this, Richard started drinking heavily again, and, well, more than he was already, honestly. And he hung out at a lot of local bars and stuff. And he helped build this hog pen behind this one bar that he frequented a lot. So, one night, Richard is seen with this barmaid, and like I said, you know, people know who he is. It's his hometown. Obviously, they're going to know who he is. Well, this barmaid is found dead not too long after Richard was seen with her and seen at that same exact bar. So, and she was found in the hog pen that Richard helped build. So, I mean, duh. Like, dang, dang, winner. He's the dude. So, at the same exact time, Richard broke into the home of a 53-year-old Miss Virgil. And it was around 1 a.m. at the time. She had just came home from babysitting. Little babysitting job that she had. And she had good old $2.50 on her from that night. And whenever she walked in, there was a man standing in her house. And she said that he was tall, southern, and very polite. Honey, he broke into your home, and you're calling him polite. Anyways, so sadly, Richard ends up ransacking her house and assaulting her sexually as well. And about this time, you know, the police are kind of on to him, and he's a suspect in the murder of this barmaid that had been found. And Richard is like, nope, not me, not happening, not gonna do it. So, what does he do? Skips town like a coward because he can't face what he's done. And his sister, Martha, ends up helping him. And he makes his way down to the good old Chicago. So, Martha's husband worked at the Maritime Naval Union. Worked for the Maritime Naval Union and was able to help Richard get certified as or the license or whatever to be a seaman, which I didn't know that, not seaman, but a seaman. I didn't know that you could do that, but you know, that's pretty cool. Honestly, I really think it is. But so he helped him do that, and Richard joined a crew. And he worked with them for a little while. Of course, it wasn't going to last long. Because like I said, you know, Richard he could not keep a job to save his life. I don't think he ever wanted to do real work. That's just my assumption. Yeah, assumption. But, you know, what do I know? So anyways. So he gets this job. And he's traveling all around to like Michigan and Indiana, you know, just a bunch of different places. And he ends up getting fired from this one job. And so then he gets another job as a seaman, and he joins the crew of 33 men with Clarence B. Randall on a freighter owned by Inland Steel. So eventually, you know, they were out and they were doing their thing. They were working their job, and all of a sudden Richard gets, you know, really sick, and they have to immediately dock the boat and get, I gotta make all over my hands. They have to immediately dock the boat and get him some help. And it turns out that Richard's appendix had ruptured and he had to have surgery on it. So, at the time, he met a nurse, and, you know, they kind of hit it off a little bit for a little while. They didn't ever, well, okay, I'm not going to say this. I'll say it like this. So, some reports I found that they dated for a short while, and then others said that they didn't really have like a relationship. They were just very fond of each other, and they flirted, you know, and all that jazz. So I don't really know, honestly, either one of those. But yeah, so I was going to tell you guys the truth. I'm not going to makeup facts about it. So anyways, like I said, he met him a little girl there, and he ended up getting better, and he tried to get more jobs and stuff back after he healed, but it just, you know, nothing ever stuck. And his brother-in-law, Martha's husband, tried to help him get more jobs, and he would go down to the same hiring hall for the naval or the maritime union, and he would go there and he would wait for jobs, and he would, you know, just do basically anything that he could to make money for himself, like just, you know, little jobs here and there. And on July 8th, 1966, Richard basically lost one job. He gets promised another one in Michigan. He goes to Michigan, and it ends up that the job is given to another more experienced seaman. And so while he was there, he did end up visiting his little old girlfriend that he had, you know, the nurse that I told you about. Well, she was in Michigan, and he did end up seeing her and spending some time with her. So he spent some time in Michigan, you know. He was there. It wasn't just in passing. He spent some time there. So just keep that in mind. Well, Richard is basically, he doesn't have a job. You know, he's down and out right now. What is my makeup doing? Hold on, y'all. So anyways, Richard is down and out about life right now. And what does he do when he's down and out? All he knows how to do, and that is drink. At the time, Richard, like I said, you know, he had lost all hope, I'm guessing, which, I mean, I don't blame him, but it doesn't mean that you go out and do crazy shit. But anyways, so he was on July 13th, 1966. He had spent all day in a local tavern drinking in Chicago, and there was a woman there, and she spent a lot of time there as well. She was 53 years old, and her name was Ella Mae Hopper. She was also kind of doing like the same thing that he was, you know, just partying, having a good time, minding her business. And then Richard has to come up and snatch her up. I don't know what my makeup's doing right there, but you know what? I'm just going to ignore it. So Richard comes and snatches her up and forces her back to this little seedy, nasty, stank, drug, prostitute infested hotel that he was, or inn that he was staying in, excuse me, the Shipyard Inn. And Miss Ella Mae actually had a .22 revolver on her, but Richard managed to take it away from her, which is really sad because, you know, she could have gotten him, but he was able to take it from her. And he then sexually assaulted her as well and stole some of her belongings. That was like kind of his MO. Like, he would sexually assault somebody and steal money or steal belongings of theirs from the residents. So, you know, like I said, he had done this before. It wasn't, he had started at a very, very young age, and, you know, he was experienced. He knew what he was doing, obviously. So, I could just imagine how scary that probably was. Anyways, so later that night, Richard has just committed this horrible act on Ella, and he has now got a gun and 2 hunting knives as well. So he is very armed and very emotional and very dangerous. I'm telling you this because I'm trying to set the scene for what I'm about to tell you and try to let you know, like put you in the mind of how he was feeling. So at the time, like I said, later on that night, on July 13th, 1966, Richard Speck is walking around the hiring hall that he frequented a lot, drunk, upset, enraged, and just, you know, pissed. And he noticed the nursing hall that was in the same area as the hiring hall as well. And this nursing building housed, you know, nursing students. So, and this was the Southside Chicago Community Hospital. And that's who they were, you know, working for and stuff. So, there were women just minding their business in this home or in this little building. And Richard Speck walks up to the door, knocks on the door. And, well, okay, I'm going to say this the same way I said the other thing a while ago. Most of everything says that he goes and knocks on the door. But there was like two or three actually, places that I saw where it says that he broke into a window. But I'm going to go with the official one, was where he knocked on the door of the home, where a 23-year-old Corazon Amora opened the door. And Richard pulled out the revolver that he had stolen from LMA, and he forced his way into the home where there were 6 nursing students there at the time. He was able to round up all of the girls. This is kind of heavy, you guys, so I'm just warning you. He was able to round up all of the girls, and using nautical knots, which, if you don't know what nautical knots are, typical naval people use them, the military and stuff like that, or, you know, if you're experienced with water, that type of thing. So, he uses torn up bed sheets that were laying around that he had gathered from the other girls in their bedrooms and stuff, and he was able to tie up their hands with torn up bed sheets. And then one by one, he separated all the girls, because they all kind of had like separate rooms in this hall that they stayed in. So he then separated the girls, tied up and bound, and then he went from room to room one by one, and he would either strangle the girls or stab them. He did not shoot any of them at all. He was very personal with his killings, and I think that says a lot about him. But anyways, so he went room by room and took out all 6 girls. Sadly, there were 2 other nursing students that came home at the time, and they were just out on a day, and they came home, and sadly Richard attacked them as well and was able to tie them up the same way he tied up the other girls, and sexually assaulted one of the girls and tied up the other ones and strangled them as well, and ending their lives. So one more girl came home from a date with her boyfriend, and she walked into the hall, and Richard met her basically right there, attacking her as well and ending her life sadly. So Richard was there for a very long time. I mean, a couple hours, because he waited, like he knew, I'm sure he knew how many girls were there, because it was near, the place that he worked a lot. So I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, so Richard was there for a very long time, and he went through and stole a bunch of the girls' things, and then he proceeded to leave the house. What Richard did not know was that the girl that opened up the door, Corazona, I'm going to call her Cora because that is what they put as well, and I don't want to be disrespectful and mispronounce her name. So Cora, actually, because Richard had so many victims, he kind of lost count of how many girls were there originally, because there were 6 and then 3 other more came home. So, like, you can see how he lost count. Anyways, so Cora was able to slide under one of the beds that were in one of the rooms, and whenever he was distracted, and poor thing, she stayed there, huddled up there all night long until about 6 o'clock in the morning. And when she finally came out from underneath the bed and went to the window and started screaming to her neighbors that her roommates had just been murdered and she needed help. So, of course, the police are called, and they come to the scene, and Cora is there, and she is able to do an identikit with the police officers in Chicago, of the area that they were in, and they were able to do an identikit together, and goodness gracious. Oh! Sorry. But that goodness. Anyways, so they were able to do an identikit of Richard and give a description of what he looked like, and she was able to remember a very distinctive tattoo that Richard had, and it was "Born to Raise Hell." So that was a very good bit of information that she was able to tell the police officers. And as soon as she said that, cops knew exactly who it was. Richard had a rap sheet. He had been arrested 42 times. Like, people were going to know who you are, shawty. Like, anyways. So, with this information, a sketch is released to the media, and the media jumps on this like crazy. And of course, Richard is in his little seedy old hotel that he was staying in, and of course, being the coward that he is, freaks out and tries to take his own life, but he backs out and he ends up calling for help. When he is taken to the hospital, he is getting treated, and I don't know why he thought. He honestly probably didn't. But of course he was noticed. And the police were called, and he was placed under arrest at the hospital for the murders, or massacre really, of the 8 nurses at the Southside Chicago Community Nursing Hall. And I'm just like, oof. Anyways, so Cora was able to, like I said, she remembered everything, and thankfully she survived. And sorry. Thankfully she survived, and she was able to go to trial, and his trial started April 3rd, 1967. And Cora got on the stand in front of the jury in front of the jury and everything, and told everything that happened from that night. And that was so brave of her to get up on that stand, and I can't imagine how emotional that was for her to do. But the trial lasted 12 days, and at the end of it, it only took the jury an hour to deliberate, and they found him guilty on all counts of first-degree murder, and Richard Speck was sentenced to death. And he was taken into custody, and yeah. So, let me tell you what. Something that I didn't agree with is, well, I can't say that I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it to an extent. Yes, there are some people that are put in prison wrongfully and deserve justice and deserve not to be given the death sentence and stuff like that. But in 72, capital punishment was abolished, and Richard's sentence got commuted from 50 to 100 years, from death to 50 to 100 years. And he lived out his prison sentence until 1991, where he died of a heart attack, which I find ironic because his dad did, which, you know, family genes and all that probably. But anyways, so 5 years after little old Richard died, a video came out, and I don't mean just a regular like interview video. Nope. It was Richard with boobs, like actual female boobs. He was given hormones in prison to basically help him survive, and yeah, that's what he did in prison. He got hormones to survive, did a lot of drugs, and slept with men, and had a lot of fun. And I know this because in the interview, you can look for it on YouTube. I don't insert things because copyright, excuse me, copyright is a real thing, and I don't want copyright strikes at all. So that's why I don't insert a lot of pictures or clips or anything like that. So, in case you were wondering. But yeah, so there was an interview, like I said, a video that came out, and it is on YouTube. And Richard is literally sitting there in the video beside this other inmate. And I'm assuming it's, well, yeah, it's an inmate. And he is getting an interview from a TV journalist in the 80s. And they literally pull out this thing of drugs and do it on camera. And he's just sitting there shirtless and talks about how, you know, he doesn't regret anything, basically. And, you know, if his quote literally was, if they knew how much fun I was having in here, they'd let me go. And I'm just like, what? And you can only imagine what this did whenever this came out, because it was released, like I said, 5 years after his death. And the department was shooketh, baby. I mean, shook. So was the media. So was, I remember seeing the video, like, whenever it was on YouTube and stuff, and just being like, oh my goodness gracious, like, this man literally committed a massacre, killed 8 people, and suspected of killing more. And, you know, but at the time, like I said, you know, Richard had committed the crime was suspected of the crime with the barmaid, and with Miss Virgil and everything when he broke into her house. But sadly, he never admitted to those crimes, and those that he was suspected of, like I said, whenever he traveled to Michigan and Indiana, he was suspected of at least anywhere from 4 to 7 or more murders in those 2 states, and also from the ages of 6 to 50 years old. So those cases, sadly, are cold and have not been solved because Richard did not admit to any of them at all. And like I said, I feel like if he had done it, he would have really, really admitted to it because he was one of those people. But then again, you know, it's my personal opinion. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But yeah, so you can imagine how pissed people probably were, especially the victims' families, when they saw the type of life that Richard was living behind bars. I am going to be reading directly off of this paper right here. My notes, they look crazy, don't they? But, yeah. So, I am going to be reading directly off of this because I want to give the nurses names because I just feel like, you know, I should pay respects to them. But, Mary Ann Jordan, she was stabbed 3 times. Suzanne Ferris, she was strangled with a stocking and stabbed 18 times. Patricia Matowski was stabbed in the stomach and strangled. Nina Schmal was stabbed in the neck and suffocated. Pamela Wilkening was stabbed directly in the heart, just straight up in the heart. Merletta Gulagio was stabbed and strangled. Valentina Piazon her throat was slashed. She was the only one that had a slashed throat. Gloria Davi, she was strangled and sexually assaulted. She was the one that got sexually assaulted, the one that did. And then Cora Amaro, who was the one who survived. So, yeah. Richard. What is up with Richards? Get your lives together. I'm not saying all Richards are this way, but your track record ain't showing up good, shouty. So, get it together. Get your people in line. So, yeah, like I said, that was the story of Richard Speck. I hope you guys enjoyed spending some time with me today or tonight or to next year. Whenever you're watching this, my eyelashes are clumping together and it's really, really irritating my soul. But you know what? We're gonna deal with it. We're gonna deal with it. We're gonna deal with it. I just like choked on air. How does that happen? Too much oxygen. Anyways, so thank you guys so much for joining me today. I will have the products that I used listed down below. And let me know if you guys want me to start linking them. I'll have to look into like the copyright stuff and everything like that and make sure that I can, you know, because I'm not promoted by anything or sponsored or anything like that. But, you know, I just I want to be able to give you guys direct links to, you know, what is going on. But anyways, so yeah, thank you guys for coming and joining me today. And please stay safe out there and be kind. And remember that you're worth it, that you're beautiful, that you're loved, and that you matter and that you are important. Okay? Know that I love you, alright? I love you. Peace.